Okay, we're going to get started, everyone. So again, if you didn't hear me before and you just logged on, if you could kindly just mute yourself. I know that in previous meetings, there's been some feedback and it makes it difficult to hear when we have quite a few people together. So I appreciate that. Well, for those of you that I haven't had the pleasure with meeting in person or virtually, my name is Samantha Lancaster and I'm the social worker at West End. This is my second year being part of the West End family and my 7th year in the Lynbrook schools. Thank you guys. I know everyone has a very hectic schedule. There's been a lot of meetings that you guys have had to attend. So thank you for making the time to jump on here tonight. Dr. Lee, Ms. Mitchell, our Director of Guidance, and myself, thought it would be a great idea to take this opportunity to talk a little about preparing for this return to school. For those of you that I got to meet last year at the September PTA meeting, we talked a little about setting that stage for the return to school. And I know that each September, it brings its own challenges, breaking those summer routines, getting back into the school mode. And this year, I mean, it's even more evident how important this transition is going to be. So we thought we'd take a few minutes here tonight to share a few tips and goals for this year in helps for you guys with the last few days of summer to be able to prepare your youngsters at home for us to return. I can't say enough, and I know I speak for the entire staff at West End, how excited we are to be welcoming your students back into the building, and some of them will be welcoming them back virtually this year, and we are just so excited. I'd be remiss to say that it's hard to believe that it's been 6 months since we saw so many smiling faces walking through the hall. And I look back and I'm like, it's a giant blur. I can't even believe what, has gone on from March till now. And looking back, we think, wow, how much that we've all had to experience and adjust to within a day's notice. We had no time to plan at home, in school, to adjust to this new routine that we had to live in, while juggling the fears and questions that we all had. So I know it's been an interesting and challenging 6 months for everyone here. I do know that many of our families and many parents became fashion experts in terms of wearing different types of hats. Many hats I know that I didn't even want to wear ever, and many hats I'm sure you never thought you'd have to put on. You were not only parents, you were teachers. In my home, I know I was the principal quite a bit. You also were coaches and friends and so many other roles that you had to jump into while juggling your own emotions and your own feelings as it was. So we do at West End, we recognize that so many of our families have been through extreme hardships, and that may be financial, through employment, within families, socially, so many hardships. I mean, it just, the list will go on and on. And we've all experienced some type of loss. And that's the same for our students as well. We recognize that all of our students may have not had their usual summers that they're used to. Some of them have not socialized in months.
Please.
Some of them haven't socialized in months. They have lacked structure, their sleep routines are off, and so many changes that they had to adjust to. But we also know that they've all experienced some type of loss as well.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can we just ask everyone to mute again? I know that it's just that feedback that comes up. And thank you guys. I know in my home, I tried to create as much as like normal routine as I could, and trying to protect my kids in a way to keep that structure, but they felt it. Mom was working from home. They were missing their friends. They were missing their extracurriculars. They felt it. They may have not had said it and verbalized it or articulated it to me, but they knew that the changes was going on, and they were experiencing it as well. All of us in here, I'm sure, have become somewhat virtual meeting experts. And I know hearing all of this information that you've had to hear over the last couple of weeks and even week, it's hard to wrap our minds around what it's going to look like. We're hearing what the changes in the building, changes in procedure, what is that going to look like for our kids? But more importantly, it's the thoughts that come up for us is, what is that going to feel like? how are our youngsters going to feel now walking into a building that is going to look different than we've ever seen and different for them? So we recognize that that is a big concern for parents as well. In trying to come up with all of the, an idea of what I wanted to share with you guys tonight, and trying to organize all of the thoughts that I had, I came across a quote that Dr. King, a psychiatrist in the field, shared. So I'm going to attempt to share my screen. I'm hoping it works. And this will just organize us for the rest of the presentation. All right. Can you all see that? A thumbs up if you can, everybody? Anybody? Okay. Thank you. All right. So do not go into this school year with 2019 goals. This is 2020, have 2020 goals. And she lists some basic needs: safety, connection, mental wellness, physical health, and maintaining relationships. And this really organized all of the thoughts that I was writing down on the paper to try to figure out how I would share all of the things I did and scratch the surface tonight. But these goals may look very different than the goals that you've had for your child in previous years. And our hope is that by the end of 2020 and when everything, this pandemic ends, that we're able to make sure that every student has these goals and that they've met them. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna share. Okay. So safety. Safety was that first one. I know that district administration has been meeting with parents to discuss all the different types of safety measures that they're putting into place to make sure the building is safe, but also welcoming for our students. From the polycarbonate shields to the deep cleaning measures, face masks, and all of the sanitization of classrooms, that list goes on. What we could do at home to prepare a little is to practice some of those practices. I know last night I watched Dennis the Menace with my family, and my daughter practiced wearing her face mask. And today she told me all the ones she picked out, they hurt her ears. So now we're shuffling and trying to figure out what's going to work. It's okay. We realize that mask endurance, that our kids are going to need breaks, but it's good to just get them familiar with wearing that. I know being out this summer, running some errands, the kids had them on for a short period of time. So wearing them a little bit longer, maybe when they're playing a video game or a board game, can help them build that mask endurance. Modeling those skills at home, washing our hands, why we're washing our hands, and keeping that physical distance will help them to adjust to some of these new practices that we will be doing on a regular basis in school. And we do recognize that our kids may have some struggles with this. So if you find that in your home or your child is coming home talking about that, reach out and let us know, because we're there to help them through that as well. And they will not be alone, I can assure you of that. One of the next main goals that Dr. King focused on is mental wellness. And that is on the forefront of all of our district and I know on parents' minds. The word that keeps coming up, over and over that I keep hearing is flexibility. And it's really clear to me why that's so important now more than ever. And I think for all of us, we're going to expect that we may go into this school year and you may go in with your plan for your child, and we may have to adjust that. As we saw from March to June, I'm sure we can all identify things that worked and that didn't work. So we will be adjusting and figuring out what is going to work best while keeping the kids safe at the same time. Your child, it also may look different what their return to school is, virtually or in person, because your child may have been one to skip back into the building each day. And you may find that's a little different for you this year. So expect things to maybe not be the same as years prior. We can expect those challenges, but we do want to remind you that the support staff and the entire team at West End is here to kind of address those individual needs and the building needs. This is for everybody, so we are going to be adjusting as we go for sure. Settling into a new routine is so important. And whether you're a remote learner or someone returning to the building each day, setting a clear expectation, it will be important, that new routine. The first few weeks of school will be very important for us inside of the building, as well as you guys outside of the building. Those relationship building activities that we do on those first few weeks, the connections we're building that much more paramount in making sure that the kids feel safe and welcome and able to utilize and seek out support when needed inside of the building. Acknowledging those changes at home and what we've been through is also important, because ignoring them can create some fear, and avoidance can create, some questions for them. Another thing we know, which research backs, is that our children thrive off of structure and being aware of what to expect. So even on those days that you may have a remote learner, set that expectation, because similar questions are swirling around in their minds. They're looking to be armed with that information, because that information will then allow them to better manage the situations. So over the next few days, if you haven't already, set a time to speak with your child a little bit. Discuss, paint the picture, discuss what it may look like with the information you have. For example, letting them know you're going to walk into school and the classroom will look different. You're not going to be desks of 4 together in groups anymore. It's going to look like it's going to be in rows, and there'll be plastic shields around your desk. Your teacher may have a face shield or a mask. Let them ask those questions and give them the information, of course, age appropriately, that you're able to. Let them know that there will be mask breaks that they will have. With all of that, setting that expectation, it's interesting. I think in my own family, my kids understood the masks and physical distance and all of that, but when they got around their friends in a socially distant way, they became kids. It became, I want to wrestle, I want to play with my friends. And it was hard for them. It was a difficult conversation for them to understand. And I remember my daughter saying, but Mom, I just want to have fun. Why won't you let me have fun? This is what I do with my friends. I had to explain it. Just because it looks different right now, it's not because we don't want you to have fun. It's to keep you safe. So again, those conversations will be important, as well as letting them know your music teacher, Mrs. Crew, may come and share. It will come to your classroom to do music. How cool is that? She gets to travel around and see all of you this year. The more they know and they're armed with the information, it will allow them to be better able to navigate the situations that they have in school. It will be also to ask them if they have any fears or worries that they may have. I know that's a loaded question, and you may hear crickets. I get that even our youngest or even our younger ones, they're not always coming out and telling us exactly how they feel. But we remember that how they present to us on the outside is not always how they're feeling on the inside. So you may have to get creative. Many families that I've been working with, some of them have created this worry box or a question box with their kids. They put it in the front of the house or in a spot, and you just say there's paper next to it. If you have any questions, any concerns, write it in the box and leave it there. And I could write back, we could talk about it, or I could just listen. And it gives them a safe space and opportunity to be able to ask those things. And I share that because you'd be surprised sometimes what you find in the box. Just yesterday, my daughter had wrote, what do I do at lunch if my friend Kate wants to give me a hug when we play like house? And I thought, oh my gosh, this is what she's thinking, because she said, I don't want to hurt Kate's feelings by telling her no. I don't want to make her sad. So with that information, we were able to role play and figure out what my second grader was comfortable with saying to her friend. Again, that wasn't in the discussion topics that I thought of. So ask them, have the opportunity for them to bring up questions. They will have them. And again, they're making tough discussions. But again, arming them with that information helps them to better feel empowered to navigate those situations. So paint the picture as best you can. And I also think it's okay to tell them that you may not have the answer to that, but that you could, Dr. Lee, the support at school will be able to help us and get the information that you need. It will also be helpful to encourage your child to be able to identify some trusted adults in the building. And I know a lot of them, feel comfortable with many of the staff members because we have a wonderful staff at West End. But who really do they feel that they could go to if they have anything of major concern or minor concern that they feel safe to disclose to? I know when I push into first and second grades, we always talk about those trusted adults and who would you go to? Have them identify who in the building and who outside of the building do you feel that you could share if you're worried or you're scared or you have any concerns that you could bring up with. Again, having them have this expectation and plan will allow them to feel more safe and secure. In regards, so many of you in here may have students that are joining us full-time remote this year, and that brings up a whole nother set of different changes and challenges. You will now have school at home. I know that transition from March, it was very difficult for many families, mine included, and the distractions and the comfort of home, siblings and electronics and all of these things, and mom or dad being your teacher, created some issues. So some tips for that, it's important, and again, I know it's not just a cookie cutter for every family, but to try to really set a space in your house, involve your child in it, of course, a suitable space for them, have them write their schedule or print it out for them, because that's what our students have in the building as well. They're able to see in their classrooms each day what is going on throughout the day. Let them know that you'll build in mass breaks for them, because that'll also help them, with that screen fatigue if that comes up. But seeing it visually, again, it creates more of what is happening in the building, and it will allow them to feel more structured and able to be more productive as well. Have them involved in it. Have them bring their supplies to their desk, put their name tag on their desk, talk to them about what their desk looked like at school, to get them a little more excited about their new at-home learning space. Even though your child is fully remote, you still have access to support. We as the support staff will continue to provide services virtually. So reach out if you're having trouble. I know I spoke with many families virtually over the school closure about, coming up with a creative structure in the household that worked. So reach out if you're noticing anything, and we could set up times virtually that we could be able to connect as well. I know many of you may also be juggling working from home now with a student that is fully remote. That is a huge thing now for many parents. And it is also okay to encourage, we want to encourage our students to be independent. So if we set them up, with an expectation of, I have a meeting from X to Y, finish this, but here's a notepad and write the questions that you have down. And as soon as I'm done, I'm going to be able to come over and address it. Again, there's no foolproof science to this, but in your families, you will start to figure out what was going to work and what's not. And if you need any support with that, reach out. The next goal that Dr. King focused on was physical health, and then I'm going to combine it with maintaining relationships because I feel they're connected. In terms of health, if you have any concerns, continue to talk with your primary care doctors. Mrs. Deary is an amazing resource. Keep us in the loop about what is going on. But again, keep that connection with your healthcare providers outside. Scheduling socialization time will be so important. For all of us, that was abruptly taken away or changed so dramatically. Some of our students only socialize when they go to school. Some adults, look forward to going to work with lunch with their friends. That's their time that they have to kind of, decompress a little. All of that was taken away. And we tried to come up with different ways to improve that socialization, but everyone felt a loss in that way. I even know walking down the street, and then I would have my mask and I'd see the neighbor and they'd jump to the other side of the street. Intellectually, I knew why. Emotionally, I felt like a loss with that. Or not being able to see the smiles at the grocery store and people walking the opposite way. So all of these things we have experience in terms of that loss. There has been a lot of discussion in the mental health field about the word socially distant. And what, we understand what those two words mean, but what really the meaning to some people is. And since we all felt that change, it's okay to socialize. We're human beings. We need that. We crave that. So in turn, you could find ways to socialize, but be physically distant. And I find I'm using that more and more because there is a difference to me, to being physically distant and versus socially distant. So find ways. Many families found connecting through the Messenger Kids app, where they're playing games with your supervision, was helpful during this time. If you're able to have a socially distant, physically distant hangout or get together with friends. Spoke with a mom today whose daughter was playing Barbies on a Zoom. Getting creative to give them those opportunities for socialization, because it's so important for them. And you may, connect even if you are a remote learner. Class lists, you'll be able to connect. And you have to remember too, most of us are in that same boat. We're going through it together. We're looking for those connections too. So reach out to each other as well as resources for that. Lastly, and another big important one, always, but this year so important, is connection. As parents, we need to remember we may not have all the answers to the questions because things are changing so quickly. And this is new for all of us. But we could assure our students that we'll do our best to come up with the answers and give them the information and make them feel safe as much as we're able to. And help them through any fears or worries that they may have, assuring them that they're not alone, that we're in this together and we're adjusting with them. But more than ever, and I've always felt this way working in school districts, is that the connection between home, school, and community is essential for the success of our students, your children. You guys are the expert in your little ones' lives. So if you're noticing things at home, reach out to us. There's no concern that is too small. You may also have family-specific concerns that are impacting them. And again, reach out to somebody in the support staff, and you will be able to talk to them individually, and it's confidential unless you feel, and we feel, that it would be helpful for other people, a part of the building and the team, to be able to know to better support your child. But for the information that you provide us will also allow us to continue to provide better support for them, because we'll know more needs that are going on and be able to better support our building as well. So please reach out. The support staff will continue to provide services in person or virtually, and that's individually, in groups, in push-ins in classrooms as well. These services can be ongoing or as needed. Ms. Mitchell, our director of guidance for the district, created a mental health and support resource guide, and you guys can access that on the district webpage under the parent and student tab. And this has all of the contact information. You may have children in other buildings as well, so it has all of our information, email and phone numbers, best way to contact us, and also a little kind of a few questions on who do I contact when. So some helpful hinters and points for you guys to check out. So definitely visit that. No question, no concern is too small. We're in this together, and I can confidently say, working part of the amazing team that I do at West End, that supporting your family and child in their transition back to school is our priority. Whatever changes come up or whatever form, the next couple of months to year takes, we are working together. So please remind your child of that it may be scary at times, or there may be things that come up, but there are trusted adults that are there to help you navigate those situations. The past 6 months, I will say that it has disrupted a lot. You've all experienced extreme hardships and loss. But one thing I did see, working with kids virtually throughout the school closure and over the summer, was something that's kind of a silver lining for me. I was able to really see invaluable skills that so many of our children didn't even know they have, that they were forced to use so quickly. They were strengthening them, and they were using them, adaptability, time management, self-care, coping, and resiliency, and so many more. And it really surprised so many of those students to see the strength that they had, that they also, until they were forced to use, may have not known. So that's something I like to hold on to throughout, trying to focus on the positive throughout all of these times where, we've all been through quite a bit. So I know this is an overview and scratching the surface. Again, we are with you, we support you, and we're excited to welcome them back next week. I'm hoping that you guys enjoy the last couple days of summer. If you have any issues or specific individual concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out. You have the contact info on that support guide. And we look forward to another definitely different, but great year back at West End with all of your little ones. Okay. So that concludes my presentation for you guys. Is there any questions that anyone wants to bring up? We have a few minutes. No? All right. Well, I hope to, if you guys need, reach out, and we can't wait to see everyone, whether that's virtually or in person next week. So have a great week, guys, and a good weekend.
Thank you, Ms. Lancaster.
Thank you,
Bye.
Ms. Lancaster.
Thank you.
It's very
Bye.
helpful.
Good night.
Have a good night, everyone.
A good one.